in and shit, just, handling the business like a runner should, right? And he saw that bitch jumping the fence, and she claimed she ain't jumped no fence. She ran through the gate when the gate was open. So you're gonna drive, you and your friend Dominique gonna drive to R. Kelly house, park outside his house, and run through the fence. Y'all know y'all be going to those gated communities, them apartments, and you don't feel like if somebody's sitting there already and putting their code in, won't you just drive behind that car instead of waiting to call your home girl or put your code in to get in? Like, you're just gonna drive through, right? Why the fuck is they running? Come on, bitch. Y'all jumped the fence just like that dude saw on camera. The lies, the lies, the lies, Bird the Candy. Okay. Thank y'all so much for the beans that's flying through here. I appreciate y'all. The next person to testify is Courtney Wilson. Courtney Wilson, she was an associate for the Susan Loggins law firm. Like I said, all these witnesses are corroborating Jerronda Pace's story. She worked at the Susan Loggins law firm in 2010, and that's when she met Jerronda Pace on January 27th. There was a sidebar. Okay. As to how she was questioned, I guess they couldn't ask her certain questions certain ways. I felt like there was a reason to take a note of that. Okay. I'm thinking it was about the evidence. Okay, but she mentioned the t-shirt with the semen. She talked to her face to face and over the phone, and she said that Jerronda Pace said that her last day with R. Kelly was January 23rd. So that was 4 days. She went and got a lawyer 4 days after her last day with R. Kelly. In her cross-examination, she said Jerronda Pace never said that she had a shirt, just that she used one. And the reason why they kept harboring on that little shit is because Jerronda Pace was saying that was her shirt, that she had it on, that she wore it there, and then she wore it home. And then somebody else gonna testify, another one of the girls that lived in or fucked with R. Kelly, that was her shirt or whatever. So that's a little bit funny. But the bitch is lying. She's a confessed or admitted liar. She lied to R. Kelly. She's just a liar. So she lied to the lawyers too, basically. Carolyn Harris is the next witness. She's a Cook County clerk. So they called Carolyn Harris. Now, this is to talk about Jane Doe number 1, who is Aaliyah. They breaking up the evidence about the racketeering and how R. Kelly paid people to do fraud, state fraud, like fraudulent IDs and fraudulent marriage license and shit like that, right? And that he, was his ideal and he was in charge of it. So this is what they're trying to prove with these next couple of witnesses, right? Carolyn Harris, she worked for the Cook County clerk for 21 years. She was the current supervisor. She worked with birth, marriage, and death records or certificates. She's a 15 years as a supervisor. Before she was a supervisor, she was just a regular clerk. She is not the clerk that serviced R. Kelly or Demetra Smith during a little Aaliyah situation, but she's there to testify to the procedures and the regulations or whatever of how it worked, getting your marriage license and things of that nature. Basically, she worked there in 1994, and even then, just like now, both parties must have valid ID and be over the age of 18. By both parties, we mean like the presumed bride and groom. And then David Orey is the clerk that signed the marriage application. They have his name, even though he didn't testify, the guy who actually did it. And the marriage application was signed that's August the 30th, 1994. Okay. Documents prove that R. Kelly and Aaliyah were married. In a cross-examination, he really didn't dispute anything that she was saying. Demetra Smith, that's the next person that was called up to testify. Demetra Smith is the manager. Now, y'all, let me get y'all listen to Demetra Smith testimony. Was funny as fuck. Number one, this nigga didn't want to testify. He was subpoenaed. Number two, he was already charged with something, but he was gonna plead the fifth. And in order for him to get his testimony, they had to grant him immunity. So, like, even before he came in the courthouse, they had to have a whole sidebar about him pleading the fifth, about them offering him immunity and what type of immunity it would be, about his lawyer being there with him while he testified, about them offering him the immunity in front of the jury or not, because they didn't want to do that in front of the jury, him pleading the fifth and all that shit. So what they did was they brought him in and let him do all that shit while the jury wasn't in there. You get what I'm saying? Because, the jury only can see certain things to protect the defendant. You get what I'm saying? You got to keep everything a certain way. So they didn't let the jury, and it could go good or bad with him pleading the fifth and all this shit. It could go good or bad for R. Kelly in the eyes of the jury, because he don't want to be there, but the fact that he pleading the fifth, he might did some wrong. That means him and R. Kelly was doing some wrong, right? But he could just fuck with R. Kelly and don't want to be here to testify against him, period, right? So you never know. Okay. He met R. Kelly in 1984 in a talent show in Kenwood Academy. So, like, Demetrius Smith knew R. Kelly before he was ever famous. He met him a long time ago. He said R. Kelly was he was a teenager. He was like 16, and he was singing an original song. And Demetrius Smith, he had his own little band, so he was just like impressed with R. Kelly and really wanted to like get with him, wanted him to sing, or what's the word I'm looking? Not really say, like, write songs for him in his group. You get what I'm saying? That's what he really wanted from him. He started working with R. Kelly from 1984 to 1996. He worked as his personal assistant, and he testified to knowing Aaliyah. During questioning, he asked if his lawyer could sit next to him. Because, they done brought up Aaliyah now, so nigga get nervous, right? He compared her. Demetrius Smith compared Aaliyah's parents to the Cosbys. I cannot. Okay, listen here. If R. Kelly really was fucking Aaliyah, her mama knew. And that her mama just as bad as the Clarys and the Savages and all the other parents that looked the other way while their minor child was fucking a rich man, okay? Mind you, they like, Barry Hankerson is a fucked up person. The daddy, it really broke his heart what was going on, and he dead. And the mama, they claim, people say like the mama was fucking R. Kelly too. Okay. And the mama, she still to this day, she say R. Kelly ain't married or fuck her daughter. She was always there. So it's something with that. It's something with that situation. But the fact that he compared them motherfuckers to the Cosbys, I was dead. Okay, the Cosbys, nigga, I know better. I know better. Okay. So I put in quotation marks, I'm dead. He said he thought they were too playful as far as like how he was asked about what he thought about R. Kelly and Aaliyah's relationship. He said he thought they was a little bit too playful. Like, I guess they was a little too friendly. Y'all know how that is when a nigga say, you too friendly. When they tell they bitch they too friendly. Y'all know how that go when a motherfucker be too friendly. That means, goddamn, y'all, it look like y'all might be fucking or want to fuck or something like that. So he didn't want to say it though. Like, he would not let them get that shit out of his mouth that he thought R. Kelly was fucking Aaliyah. He would not say that shit. He was like, he had no clue about their sexual relationship. When he asked if him and R. Kelly was messing around, if R. Kelly and Aaliyah was messing around, we asked R. Kelly said no. They were trying to say, well, what do you mean by messing around? He was like, I would just mean they was too friendly. I would just mean they was playful. You get what I'm saying? He never said fucking. He wouldn't say it. R. Kelly told him at a show, like before a performance, that Aaliyah was in trouble and they had to get back home. So he said on his own accord, he booked tickets back to Chicago. He said he wanted to call Barry Hankerson, but R. Kelly said no. He said when they got on the plane, that's when R. Kelly told him that Aaliyah thinks she's in trouble. I mean, that she's pregnant. That Aaliyah thinks she's pregnant. Not I think Aaliyah pregnant, that I got Aaliyah pregnant. He said Aaliyah thinks she's pregnant. And like he said Aaliyah's in trouble. So he never, like, during as per to Demetrius Smith testimony, R. Kelly never took ownership for the trouble Aaliyah was in, or like the fact that Aaliyah was pregnant by him. He never, like, Aaliyah thinks she's pregnant and Aaliyah's in trouble. So boom. They make arrangements. They go. He tell them that on the plane. And Daryl McDavid, the same manager guy I was telling y'all about, He said that's who was making arrangements for Aaliyah to marry R. Kelly. R. Kelly did not make that plan up. He said Daryl David planned that. He told R. Kelly that he didn't think that they should do that, but he didn't want to be out the loop, so he decided to help so he could still be in the loop, right? R. Kelly, that's like his little brother, little cousin, whatever. So he didn't want to just be pushed out of the circle because he didn't think that was right. Um, he started tripping like he didn't even want to be talking about Aaliyah. Aaliyah not here to protect herself and all this shit, and the judge had to check him for being difficult, right? Listen, this is funny. The judge say, listen here, you need to get right. I'm running out of patience, right? He was like, you running out of patience. She was like, yeah, and this is my show. He was like, well, shit, we can go home then. Bitch, I don't even want to be here. In this shit then. If it's your show, in this shit. You running out of patience, bitch? I've been out of patience. Yo, Demetrius Smith is funny as fuck, y'all. He was not playing. He was like, we can go home then. She was like, no, you got to finish, finish answering the questions or whatever. That shit was funny as fuck. Dermot David, that was R. Kelly's manager and accountant per I guess at that time, I don't know, because other people called Deborah David his CPA, business manager. So, well, he called him a manager and accountant. The CPA is an accountant. And he told R. Kelly not to marry Aaliyah. He didn't think it was a good idea. He didn't want to get pushed out. So, yeah, la, 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 la. So he offered to get the ID for the marriage. He also said that R. Kelly was being told to marry Aaliyah. Dermot David gave Demetrius Smith the money, not R. Kelly. Dermot David gave Demetrius Smith $500 to get the fake ID, and he don't remember R. Kelly saying anything or saying anything to Robert about needing $500. In other words, he did not pay for it, so he wasn't in charge of it. He didn't come up with the idea. It wasn't his plan, and he did not finance it, right? That's the point that they're making. They went to it like a county defects in Chicago and FedEx to get a work ID. So these IDs were not state IDs. These were just bullshit ass. Like one was a work ID and one was a defects ID. I don't know how defects work in everybody county, different states. We don't have in defects in Augusta, Richmond County. We don't have to get an ID for the for the agency. You have your regular state ID, right? But they give out IDs at this defects, and they got paid the lady at defects to give Aaliyah an ID without her birthday or age on it. Then they went and got a work ID from FedEx. When they went to get the marriage license, the guy who signed for the marriage license, he was giving them trouble, right? These IDs not right. So Dermot David took somebody or talked to somebody. You get what I'm saying? He the one got that shit inched along so the marriage license could be signed and Aaliyah and R. Kelly could get married. And this is per Demetrius' testimony. So that's very key to this whole RICO racketeering shit. R. Kelly didn't run that. That wasn't his plan, and he wasn't running that situation. He was barely doing what he was told. He was basically doing what he was told. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, during the cross-examination, he claimed Aaliyah was never pregnant to his knowledge. He was asked about the book he wrote, and he claimed and that he lied in the book for sales. He said it wasn't for sales. He didn't lie, but he did write it in jail, and he released it when he came out of jail in 2011. He said R. Kelly didn't have nothing to do with bribing for the ID, and that was pretty much the most important key points of his testimony. All right, let's get into the next line, ass bitch. Accuser Azriel Clary, aka Jane Doe number 5. Making her own documentaries and doing, Gayle King interviews and going live talking about the feds is stupid because R. Kelly is free and they must be doing the same dumb shit that they did in 2008 and he's not guilty and I'm gonna stick by my man because I'm loyal. Azriel Clary, she's a big witness in this case. Like, she's a very big witness in this case, and her testimony took 3 fucking days. If y'all can just imagine how much like reading and transcripts that I had to go through, 3 days worth of testimony, bruh. Now they made her like because she stayed with R. Kelly for the longest, and she, was the new, like, they want to make her like a main like witness, so her testimony was supposed to be real heavy, very detrimental to R. Kelly, and she's a witness for the prosecution, right? All right. Andrea Clary, she met R. Kelly in 2015 at the age of 17, and they was in a relationship for 5 years. Um, April 18, 2015, that's when she met him. She went to a concert with her parents, okay? This was in Orlando. The concert was in Orlando, where she lived. December 30th is 1997 is Ashriel B Day. That's her birthday. Now, Ashriel testified. Y'all lock this in your brain because we got cross too, right? This is her direct. This is the prosecution question I heard. She said she was in the C section um, at the concert, section C, at the concert when R. Kelly's entourage came and gave her an extra wristband to go down to the pit. That's like the front of the stage. Um, it was her junior year in high school. Um, as well. I just had. I guess it's in the notes. Okay, my bad. That armband that they gave her not only could it get her down to the pit, but she can also go backstage to the meet and greet. She claimed he performed a lot of his songs to her, like he was like looking at her and singing to her, and it was all about her. And he grabbed her hand, held her hand, and it was just all about her. And she, he loved her so much. Um, Someone else from the crew gave her his number because it was like 3 stages or whatever. And she said he went like to another stage during the show, and during that time, because he wasn't at that regular stage where the pit was, somebody gave her R. Kelly's number. Um, and she didn't go because she didn't like what she had on. I guess she said she didn't like what she had on, so she didn't go backstage to the meet and greet. But she did give the number to her mom. She gave the number to her mother, but she did try to memorize it, try to text it. She texted R. Kelly, but I'm sorry, she said she had the number wrong. So since she knew she got the number from her mama, she went and got her mama phone, and she in her testimony she was like, "Well, I just had the phone right quick for something," but she went and got her mama phone so she could find R. Kelly number. Come to find out, this is how she testified. This is how she telling the story. Come to find out, her mama was already texting R. Kelly and acting like she was her. Her mom told R. Kelly she could sing and was sending her videos and shit like that of her while she was of like YouTube videos of her singing and shit like that. And she set up a audition with R. Kelly at the Dolphin Hotel. So her parents and her, like she said, her parents talked. Her mama texted R. Kelly for like 2 days, and then she started texting R. Kelly. But she kept up the facade that her mama put on. She didn't say what it was, but whatever her mama told him, that's what she told R. Kelly about being a singer and all of that. But she had said that she wanted to take a break from singing at that time. But whatever. So they set up this audition. The audition was at the Dolphin Hotel in Orlando, Florida. This is out there by Disney World. When she called him, he told her to meet him in the Sprinter van. The Sprinter van was parked outside of the hotel, like in the little roundabout area, right? Outside of the hotel. And he told her, like, come on the Sprinter van when you get here. She get on the Sprinter van. She got on some skinny jeans, some heels, and a mesh crop top. That's how she dressed to go meet R. Kelly to sing for him at 17 years old. When she got in the Sprinter, R. Kelly told her, like, asked her to sit on his lap. She said, "Are you sure?" Like, nigga, bitch, didn't I tell you to sit on my goddamn lap? She said on his lap. Then he asked her for a kiss. She claimed she didn't want to kiss him. Or she told him no. Then he was like, just give me a little kiss, bitch. Like, you ain't got to tongue kiss me. Just give me a little kiss. She gave him a kiss. Now you feeling uncomfortable. You came to sing, and this nigga done got you on the lap and got you kissing him already. But that bitch take her ass upstairs to the hotel room. Come on now. The reason why he did that is to make sure she gonna fuck. And if your mom and daddy had any sense, they would have told you that if they didn't want you to fuck. But I digress. She take her ass upstairs. She goes upstairs and R. Kelly told her he got a nut first before he can listen to her sing. He asked her, like at first she like, I ain't come here to please you. What you say, daddy?
I said, weak.
So like she was like, I ain't come here to please you. But then, like, he talked to her into just walking back and forth and taking off her clothes. So she took off her clothes and was walking back and forth in her bra and panties. And then she said R. Kelly wanted to eat her booty. So she let R. Kelly eat her booty. She sat on his face backwards and was letting him eat her booty while he masturbated. And she thinks she saw the iPods out. He might have been recording. Then the police knock on the door. She jump up off his face and he look at her crazy like, you, how old are you? And she said she was 18. And then he made her go get dressed. And when she got dressed in the bathroom and he was out there talking to the cops, she came and told the cops she was 18. She told the cops she was 18. The cop said, let me see your ID. She showed him ID. And she claimed the ID said she was 17, but the cops gave her ID back. It was like, your parents looking for you. And then she had to call the parents on speakerphone and tell them she was straight. She didn't say like, this nigga making me let him eat my booty. I feel uncomfortable. We basically fucking up here and he ain't letting me sing no songs. But you talk to your parents ain't like, bitch, get your ass downstairs. You around this pedophile, like you been up there too long, you should have sung out. Like none of that. None of that. You on the phone in front of police. Get my baby out of there, lock that nigga up. He is molesting me. Like none of that. None of that happens. So when the police left, she persisted sitting back on his face and letting him eat her booty. That's what she said. Then right after that incident, a couple days later, she traveled all the way to California to go to one of his shows and to learn about the music industry. She goes to LA, I believe, but she also, as a junior in high school, goes to she went to LA, San Diego, Chicago, Las Vegas. Her trips were arranged by Cheryl Mack. Cheryl Mack was R. Kelly's assistant. That's also London on the Track's mother. London on the Track is Summer Bunnies, or Summer Walker, I mean, Summer Walker's baby daddy. We got London on the Track. That nigga get to that bread. But his mama was R. Kelly's assistant. Her name is being brought up so much in court. I'm not sure if she testified, but I haven't seen her testimony. Um, she spoke on the rules. She identified the girlfriends and assistants. She talked about this show she had in Key West and then the fact that Jacksonville, Florida was right up the street, but it's not. Jacksonville is like 8 hours away from Key West, Florida. And her mama rode her to Key West, to Jacksonville from Key West. They drove to R. Kelly show. She was already on the phone with R. Kelly and I've been out of town to see R. Kelly as well. So like R. Kelly talking to her, she tell R. Kelly about the show. He texting her like, send pictures, you have a good show, good luck. You get what I'm saying? I hope you do great. And your mama take you all the way 8 hours away to another concert. That's the same night. And I'm pretty sure 8 hours away, that concert is gonna be over with. When they go to Jacksonville, her mama didn't want to, or they was offered to get a room together. Her mama ain't want to. Damn, they banned Mike. That's crazy. They ain't want to get a room. She didn't want a room, but she didn't want a room with her daughter. She got a room by herself. She texted her mom over the time that she was with R. Kelly. She texted her mom about having to wear baggy clothes. She texted her mom about the girl that, she was just complaining about the rules. The girl who was like telling her what to do or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So, boom. She talked about meeting Juice. Juice was the girl she didn't like. Juice was like one of R. Kelly friends or girlfriends. They used to be like, bitch, you can't wear that. Bitch, you can't do that. Bitch, you got to ask permission. Bitch, you can't just be walking around the house. Bitch. Bitch, you got to do what you told, bitch. We R. Kelly's bitches. We fly. So that part. When she met Juice, because she wanted to go shopping, but she couldn't leave the room, so Juice came, and then they went shopping. But then R. Kelly met them. This was in Vegas. R. Kelly met them at the mall. They went shopping, and then they went to R. Kelly's concert together. And then that night, Juice was in the room. She said she kept calling R. Kelly like, Juice sleep. Why don't you tell that bitch to go back to her room? Why she here? R. Kelly was like, nah, I want to come and I want to fuck. And he fucked her in front of Juice, but Juice was supposedly asleep and turned the other way. And then he was like, well, Juice, let's go. After he finished fucking Azriel Clary. This is her testimony. And this is like the second time they had sex, like vaginal sex or whatever. So I guess now he's grooming her and getting her used to being around other girls or whatever. R. Kelly did never mention herpes to her. Of course, she went on here and talking about how she didn't want to have sex with Juice in the room. At the end of the school year, she stayed with R. Kelly. She stayed in Chicago, but it wasn't at the end of the school year because she started traveling with R. Kelly in April. We all know school is over with the end of May, beginning of June. Okay, so this bitch was just not going to school. She was just not going to school. She on tour with R. Kelly, and that's it. Um, then she started talking about like her chastisement. By chastisement, like she started getting introduced to the rules and having to call him daddy. Um, about the consequences about getting the whoopings and writing letters, staying in the room. You get what I'm saying? Apologizing to him. Um, um, she also testified about how the house looked, about the furniture that might have been there because she claimed it was like beds that was missing out of other rooms and shit. Um, she testified about the different sexual contact she had with other men and women with R. Kelly as well. Um, she talked about spankings for breaking the rules. She talked about an argument she had with R. Kelly because he didn't celebrate holidays no more, and she said she could have went home and celebrate Christmas, so that was fucked up. But you know, in the cross examination, they're gonna pull that out of her ass that was a lie. R. Kelly kept like he celebrated all the holidays. Um, she talked about being pregnant and her R. Kelly didn't think she was mature enough to have his baby, and he made her get an abortion. He also wanted her to keep her body tight. Um, she said R. Kelly told her that he got to live pregnant, and that's why they got married. She testified about the punishment and blackmail videos, like having to eat shit and all that, or having to fuck other men, getting spanking. Like oh yeah, she got spanked one time, and while she was crying from the spanking, he recorded her saying that her dad molested her while she was crying, so that way it look, authentic or whatever. Um, like recording herself eating shit and any more videos. They had like that after that like the videos about eating shit and the blackmail videos that ended the first day, right? And like when the second day started, it started off with like three sidebars. And they always redacted from the side transcript, so we don't even know what they was talking about. Like we just scrolling, and it's all black, all black, all black. So it was some real shit going on when it come to her case and her testimony and all that shit that they didn't want the public to see. I made note of that, so I want to share that with you guys. Jane Doe number 5, she gave more testimony about her bad relationship with R. Kelly. She testified about knowing nephew. Nephew was John Doe number 2 because about all the different girls leaving, and she spoke about the Gayle King interview and the fact that she was lying, and R. Kelly was in the back room coughing and making sure that they knew that he was there. You get what I'm saying? All that type of shit. Cross examination for Ezra Clare. Remember, I was told y'all they had sealed it for a minute, but the judge had ruled that it'd be put out for the public, right? So that she was asked, as all the other witnesses and accusers were asked, how often did they meet with the government? Um, she was looking at the government for an answer. Kenny was like, don't look over there at them. I thought that was funny as hell. Because, like, when you read the transcript, that's literally what came out their mouth, right? So, it was like, no, don't look at the government. You look at me and tell me, bitch, why you trying to look at them for answers? That shit was funny to me. Um, okay. Kenneth called out that the first thing that she changed the date that she moved in with R. Kelly. Yeah, remember I was saying it was like the end of the school year. It was really April. So that was the first thing. She had to change that about her direct examination. It wasn't the end of the school year, it was April. She left school early and she said she moved when the school year ended. Boom. She testified the first time that R. Kelly hit her. She testified that the first time that R. Kelly hit her was when she told him her true age, and she was sent home that next day. She did not tell her parents that R. Kelly slapped her. It was the first time he slapped her. Cause she told him like, yeah, I know my mama told you I was 18, and my mama told me to tell you I was 18, but I'm really 17. That shit would have goddamn pissed me off too. Then the next thing she had to change was the fact that she wasn't in the C section at the concert. She was in a B section. I don't know why that matters, but it is a lie, lies, a lies, a lie, right? Um, she confirmed that he touched more than just her hand. All that he was holding my hand and singing just to me. Bitch, he touched, like, remember I told y'all about the video? He was going across the stage like this, touching everybody's hand and shit. Like, bitch, he wasn't just touching your hand. Um, they was making her look crazy for saying he was only singing to her. Like, bitch, you was in the pit. Like, it's people crowded around you, right? People on the right side of you, left side, behind you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's people around you, right? Duh. Like, you show he was looking just at you. You get what I'm saying? Or performing to the crowd as a real artist should, you know? Boom. What's up, Birch? Um, She testified to dancing on the speaker and twerking on the speaker and all that. She kept trying to say she wasn't twerking, y'all. He had to pull that shit out her ass. Bitch, you was twerking. Bitch, you was shaking that ass, bitch. Okay, on the speaker, bitch, above everybody, trying to be seen, bitch. Okay? Um, And she admitted to her parents beating her to make her do music. Her parents used to abuse her to make her do music. She admitted to that in the cross examination. They called a sidebar because the prosecution or the government, they objected to that because they didn't want to bring up her past with her parents. They didn't feel like that was relevant to the situation. But they trying to prove that the parents are the ones who kind of like pushed her, but they got a rule saying the parents cannot consent for a minor to have sex. So you can't blame the parents for R. Kelly choosing to fuck a minor, basically, is what they saying. So it's kind of like touch and go, but they do want to bring up the fact that, like, you had problems with your parents and the parents was really putting you up to fucking R. Kelly and fucking with them and all this type of shit. But they gonna prove their point. Kanika is not playing with this bitch. Um, Oh yeah, and the judge during that sidebar, the judge had to tell the prosecutor to stay in her lane. Like, bitch, I know how to do this shit. Why don't you shut up and let me tell him what he can and can't ask? The shit got juicy. Candy mentioned that she said in a statement to the government that she was taking a break from music because of the pressures from her parents. So when you met R. Kelly, when you went to this concert, you wasn't going or you wasn't meeting him to have an audition. So to because you wasn't even doing music at this time. So that whole thing with the parents setting up the audition and all of that, that was some bullshit to kind of set them up for the whole fucking shit. And if you really was doing music about your audition, then you wouldn't have went upstairs after that nigga tried you like a motherfucker on that goddamn Sprinter van. um Kenna brought up the different business ideas, like one being a Bluetooth dildo, that her parents wanted to do with R. Kelly. She testified that R. Kelly rejected that proposal. Her parents also tried to get R. Kelly to buy a food truck. The dad wanted to do a lighting show, and the mom wanted to work for R. Kelly like as a driver or a personal assistant or something. And R. Kelly denied all that. The parents even said on the interview, like, yeah, we were trying to do, and he rejected all of them. Like, they was really in their feelings about R. Kelly not doing business with them. These are the Clarys, right? They discussed how the hotel interaction didn't make sense. So, you felt violated and outraged. Didn't tell the police because that's what she said. She testified that because he wanted to have sex before listening to her saying she felt violated and outraged. You felt violated and outraged, but you didn't tell the police when they knocked on the door. You talked to your parents on the phone in front of the police, and you were so violated and outraged that you didn't tell your parents what was going on. You didn't leave out of that room with the police, but you were violated and outraged. As you're so violated and outraged that you call Shira Mack to book you a ticket cross country. Get by yourself. If somebody violated me, think I'm gonna get on a plane by my 17-year-old self and go cross country with that motherfucker? Not likely. What's up, Master J? She was asked why did she go upstairs with R. Kelly after he asked for a kiss in the Sprinter van. Okay. She was in constant contact with her parents the summer through the fall of 2015, right? And like, remember that document I was telling y'all about, Imprudence? They brought that up about how it was her choice when she stopped talking to the parents. Like, her and her dad was in this argument during this documentary, and she was like, every time I called you and Ma, y'all was cussing me out. Y'all was mad, cussing me out about this and that, right? And it's probably they was cussing her probably because she wasn't giving no money or making R. Kelly do business with them. You get what I'm saying? You up there getting all this money, having all this fun, and we just sitting here. You just supposed to be a plan. All of us supposed to be in this shit, right? So she stopped calling them as much. Like, why the fuck? If I don't call these niggas for 5 months, maybe they'll miss me and call me and answer the phone and be like, hey, how you doing? Why the fuck I got to argue with my mom and daddy every time I call them? Shit, I wouldn't want to call them no more either. But the whole point was to say that it was her choice not to talk to her parents anymore. R. Kelly didn't make her. And matter of fact, R. Kelly in my notes, R. Kelly made her. Like, nigga, this your daddy phone number, and he texting me. R. Kelly and her dad used to FaceTime. He used to tell her, yeah, you need to call your parents. They calling me. They worried about you. You need to call your parents. So that was bullshit. He poked holes in the R. Kelly Don't Celebrate Holiday story because, R. Kelly got videos and pictures of him, and you got videos of the house celebrating each other, all the girlfriends and shit. Then we get into the Key West Jacksonville trip. Like she said, it was a couple hours away. And it's 8 hours away. You had a show, and after the show ended like at 9:30, your mama drive 8 hours to Jacksonville, Florida, talking about to catch a concert. Bitch, why do that make sense? During that time, Cheryl Mack, the R. Kelly's assistant, got their room. Her mom did not want to be in a room with her daughter. And that's what Azriel Clary told the government. Y'all, them government statements be fucking them up when it comes to their testimony because they be forgetting what all they said in them statements. And them little bitty them little bitty, details, that shit matter. On the trip, she testified that her mom slept in the room alone and she slept in the room with R. Kelly. So basically, her mom took her to Jacksonville to get fucked. Why would you drive your 17-year-old daughter 8 hours to see a show knowing she gonna miss the concert? Y'all get to Jacksonville, Florida 2, 3 in the morning. Make it make sense. Why would your mama take you that far? Um, The defense had her read letters that she wrote confessing that the part her mother played in hook her up with R. Kelly, the Jacksonville trip, and that she knew she wouldn't arrive till after 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They made her read letters to R. Kelly while he was locked up because she was writing him while he was locked up before she turned or after she turned. And after she started talking to the government, she was still writing R. Kelly letters. She was telling him like everything from this point is just politics. She was saying that she loved him and she would always love him. She was saying like, I just got to get this money. She was calling him Bear and not Daddy. She was like, quote unquote. Let me find this quote. Hold on, let me keep going. Because the quote is in here. She wrote the letter a couple months after she broke up with R. Kelly. That was October 2019 that they broke up. She wrote the letter December the 2nd, 2019. Kelly read an insert from the president's documentary. She was speaking with her dad, saying that they knew better than to think she was kidnapped. Every time she called them, they cussed her out, so she stopped calling them for months at a time. She said R. Kelly made her call her parents. This is all coming out of Azriel Clear's mouth. R. Kelly always encouraged her to reach out to her parents. And her dad said that they were mad at her for not checking in, but she rebutted by saying she didn't even check in when she was a junior in high school and she was with R. Kelly before she, you know what I'm saying? So why the fuck is y'all tripping about me checking in now that I live with a nigga? She also stated that her family and friends knew better than to think that she was brainwashed. She spoke highly of R. Kelly, and the defense is making her eat all those words. That's the note I put in there. Her and her dad tried to shop a book deal. They had got an agent named Stacey Brown. In February of 2020, she started receiving the book transcript proposals. She read a bunch of letters that she wrote to her parents. Her dad talking to R. Kelly, $10,000 in their account that they wanted. Letters that she wrote to R. Kelly when she left him and wanted to come back during the 5 years because she left him multiple times. And every time she broke up with R. Kelly, she went back to Florida to her parents. Never was she kidnapped. Never was she held against her will. And the whole time her parents knew where she was and could get in contact with her. She sent a blogger a message saying she's never been held against her will, and that was after she left R. Kelly. She spoke on Jane's parents. She spoke on her parents signing the guardianship over to someone they never talked about or met. They never talked to or met. It's supposed to be Juice Mama, and Juice is the other girlfriend that was telling her that she didn't like. So y'all signed custody over to Juice Mama. Um, the parents told the police she was 18 on the first encounter on the phone. She said that Rob didn't want to fuck her, but her mom pushed her to seduce him. The parents waived rights so she could be with R. Kelly. And in the redirect, she claimed that all those letters were fake and that they were all lies. Now, the reason why I can't believe that they were all lies, now, certain letters like, oh, Mr. Kelly, I'll tell everybody you raped me if you don't bring me that dick. That seemed like a lot, right? That seemed like that's some bullshit. Ain't nobody gonna write that. Oh, you don't want to fuck me. I want you to fuck me. I'll just tell everybody you raped me if you don't bring me that dick. But the letter she wrote to her brother, it had a lot of shit that even she testified about or spoke about in that president's documentary about the trip to Jacksonville. And she was like, my mama dropped me off at 3 o'clock in the morning. She was upset about that. Or the fact that like her parents wanted her to fuck with R. Kelly and it didn't matter. And when she came back, like she was hurt that she was upset that R. Kelly or she was had to tell R. Kelly some shit because she was scared because of the other court case or whatever. She told R. Kelly about the age. R. Kelly sent her back the very next day. And because she told her, R. Kelly didn't want to fuck with her because he found out she was young, her parents signed over rights. And she was a little upset that her parents would just signed over their rights to her just so she could get fucked by a grown ass rich man. You know what I'm saying? Trying to utilize her for money. She felt like a hoe. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. It's like the truth. It's the truth. Like, why would they sign over rights? It just don't make sense. A lot of that shit in that letter seemed true that she said was false. And that letter that she wrote to her brother, man, that shit was like eye opening and it was sad. And you want to just get her a fucking hug. She spoke of the abuse that she admitted to during her cross examination and all that shit. I think her parents were just trying to utilize her to get money from R. Kelly. All those business shit, all that kind of stuff they were trying to do with him. They were trying to do it on the strip of you fucking my daughter. So you might as well fuck with us. you know. But that was some bullshit. The next person, it's real fucked up how the parents did her. I feel sad for her, but she was a part of that scamming shit, and I think she really did fall in love with R. Kelly. She liked it, like having the money and being. She's like she shit on her parents, right? And she just was living life by herself. Her parents ain't had no part of it. But then when R. Kelly got locked up, and she had to get a job, pay that rent at Trump Towers, she went back home. And now she talking all this shit and she started writing books and, giving interviews and, just a bunch of contradictory shit. Okay. The next person to testify is Keith Williams. Keith Williams was a pastor and old friend of R. Kelly. He just was there to testify to R. Kelly asking him to link him with a pastor to marry him and Aaliyah. The next person was Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson was an expert in DNA and evidence analysis. So she was the lady that looked at that T-shirt Jerronda Pace had with R. Kelly's semen on it, and she confirmed that there was semen on it. And it was R. Kelly's semen. So boom, he nutted in her face. She wiped it off. She was telling the truth about that. Malik. Malik is one of Azriel Clary's friends, and she basically was there to confirm all the testimony that Azriel had gave about her relationship with R. Kelly and her communication between her and her friend Malik and another girl named Maya that didn't testify so far, at least as far as I got in these last couple days. She was 22 years old. That's her home girl. She say she stopped talking to Azriel when she turned 18 and moved away. So like she was talking to her at first, like